So let me check what it's called. It's called the Knife Virtue. Alright. Alright, let's get the starter store started. Stage 1, in Day of Yore. The Knife Virtue. Part 1, in Days of Yore. The drizzle, which has fallen for several days without end, stopped just before dark. The horse hooves stood against the wet earth and moss. Dense branches obscured the sky. Occasionally, pheasants and turtle doves swoop across the trail ahead. This is the Palapont forest. Arriving here means the trip is nearing its end.
Stop!
Company, halt! We will make camp here today. According to the dictate of our order, there is no need to fast today. The deer that Sir Roland hunted can be taken out and roasted. Happy cheers arise from all sides. Only in one corner is there deep silence. There, a figure sits squat. It is Sir Roland, the leader of their band, and his manager, Charlemagne, most trusted defender, soon to be named the Margrave of Brittany, to serve as the paramount lord and ruler. Sir Roland, we expect to arrive at the castle on the morn, but sire, if you worry about an ambush, we might continue under the cover of darkness in order to arrive earlier. You know, in the eyes of many in Brittany, your head is now worth more than its weight in gold. This seemingly downcast youth rise to its feet. No, Sir Galilon, you mistake me. So I'm wondering, like, did he actually have a body and stuff back then, or was he always like just like the knight? Because the knight is Roland, I guess, I believe. I'm thinking, what should I say if I were to find a deer without any eyes? The question alarms Galilon, who shakes his head slowly. I have no idea. Wait. Oh, he made a joke. I have no idea. I have no idea. Sir, enough of these jokes of yours. As for deer, the bucky hunters will soon be prepared. Unless you wish to continue eating only bread and beans, I suggest you join us and have some. Dusk is falling. The night cuts down a few cedars near the camp. In the dark, damp weather, only the dry and oily heartwood is significant to starting a fire. Flames leap up, casting a warm orange glow. A young knight in their company brings over the prepared venison. I marinated the meat as best as I could in our circumstance. We have a fennel and cardamom. We might sprinkle some on while it roasts. The heat will bring out the flavor nicely.
Of course.
Of course, the best spice would be black pepper and cardamom. But such a extravagant, we probably only taste the likes of those spices again when His Majesty decides to celebrate with us. The knight skewered the meat at the angle over the fire pit. The buck fat is rich and heavy. As time passes, it melts in the heat, releasing a wonderful aroma. My lord, look at how the fat is dripping. I can't even remember the last time I had fresh meat. This morning? This morning?
Yes.
Did our Lord not transform bread and wine into fresh flesh and blood? It is true, our morning meal was not the holy communion, but its unleavened bread can serve as a fitting vessel for a lord. It must certainly be the equal of any Venian. A brief, early silence follow, only to be broken with a scoff. Shall I laugh now or wait after the caramel has your head on her pike? If I have offended, then I beg your pardon. But let me ask you a new question.
Please.
Yes, my lord, Mangrave? I told not less than 13 jokes today, and I must imagine that at least one of them was clever. Tell me then, why has no one laughed? Sir Roland, I swear, that pun about the deer was the wittiest I heard in some time. It was only in that moment I forgot to laugh. But I'm afraid I didn't quite catch the meaning of the joke you made about a living bread. Is that so? The cardinal will be busy indeed, young sir. Have you forgotten that the bread of our communion becomes flesh? So then, our bite of bread this morning could be, well, become meat? For Lord designed it so. It is a little blasphemous, I must admit.
It's ridiculous.
The devil take you, Roland. These jokes of yours are not funny. A lie repeated 1,000 times yet does not become the truth. Even if you told 40 jokes, not a one would be funny. Galleon, I think you must not understand the word diligent. As the proverb says, practice makes perfect. Anything, if pursued persistently enough, will surely lead to success. Rather than discussing the definition of diligence, I would prefer you not turn yourself into a joke. Many small streams make a river. Knights, is there anyone here capable of telling some half-wise, decent jokes to our Lord Roland? I have one. This will be the very first instance of the Comic Night Festival. Born on the night in the 8th century, a feast among a band of true companions. Each among them have come from different backgrounds and held various positions, but there is no doubt they can serve an excellent judge. After all, a sense of humor does not need to be taught. It precedes any rules and structure. The only truth is humor is what makes one laugh. As one knight finishes his joke, another starts next. And on it goes until, alas, a sprinkle of fennel is scattered over the vineyard, forming a mouth-watering aroma of citrus and pine gum. The meal is ready. The edge of the meat are charred brown and sizzling with grease. The young knights turn chef for the evening and smear fresh wild honey on the meat. My turn! Oh, but if only we had a pound of Roquefort cheese. Yet the savory aroma of roasted meat serves as more than enough. He swallows his piece with a satisfied gulp. Unlike the rest of you, I'll tell you a proper joke with some theatric flair, where I shall take on the dramatic persona of one among us. Though this joke may not be for everyone's taste, I would use it to express admiration and praise of a worthy hero. Then, in a booming practice voice, he begins his joke. There once was a knight, both true and faithful, whose great deed much envy provoked, but there were others would boast. His friends was most grateful that the worst of his fault was his jokes. Hey Panzer, how's everything? I speak, of course, of myself, Roland, young League, on the eve of our arrival in Brittany, for soon I will be named. That is the very day I... Also, sounds like an ambush. An arrow.
Whoa!
An arrow has pierced through the young knight's throat. The light fades from his eyes as he falls to the ground.
Watch out!
We're under attack!
The sword is drawn.
Knights, to your swords, avenge our comrade. Nixie tubes. Aging, circular, a faulty connection, or perhaps... In the hall, a slender plant stands with green flowers buds clinging to its stalk. Its branches sway in a metered rhythm. Here's what happened. A few days ago, I asked Ignite to tell me a story of rope and the shorts. So I knocked on the door to his room, but no one answered. Then I went to check the patio, and he wasn't there either. Next, I asked Vertin, but she didn't know either.
Whoa.
I understand, Sir Fogg. So, do you want to know where Sir Knight has gone? Well, it is true I am the very best when it comes to ghost hunting, but Sir Knight is not exactly a ghost. He's more of a haunting character. Oh nice, how was your vacation? I've been farming First Descendant, but only problem is like nobody plays it anymore somehow, or they're busy playing other stuff. Apologies, I suppose I don't quite understand your Archon skill, but perhaps you still have the knack of finding people? Oliver Fogg fishes up a few sharpooners from his pocket. This is work. I know the rules. I did not prepare much, but maybe I could pay a deposit first. Huh? What's this? It dawns on her.
Whoa.
Oh, how generous! In that case, I'll certainly help you. Besides catching ghosts, ask Lord Lauzun for a direction. It's a simple matter. She takes the two pieces from Oliver's hands. It is a kind gesture to help out a friend. Oh, nice. Did you go by yourself, or did you go with your or like friends or anything like that? What is it that Grandma taught me again? Whatever. As long as you truly believe it, that's all that matters. Anali cups 3 arcane tokens in her hands, clasps them together, and shakes them forcefully. Spirit of heavens and earth. At first, I thought Ignite might have been on a mission outside, so I switched to ask Miss Vertin. But Miss Vertin said that Ignite hasn't been on any missions recently. But he has asked Vertin for several days of leave. I wonder if he has some important matters to attend to. Ah, yes, I see him. The young ghost hunter begins her soothsaying. I see a Sir Knight is as he was before. He still loves telling those dreadful jokes. Oh, that's nice. But it seems he has been collecting something recently. They look like small colorful banners and trumpets. It's not clear to me what he's doing. She stops her hand and examines the answer of coins gives. The first hexagram, lesser yang. The second hexagram, lesser yang. The sixth hexagram, old yang, changing to the hexagram of earth over water. Ali falls silent. Oh ho! She has learned her grandmother's exaggerated manners of shouting.
Whoa.
Oh dear, that's terrible, Sir Fogg. What does all this mean? The hexagram of earth over water shows that Sir Knight is going to war, and that the war will be both unpredictable and hazardous. And this changing of the hexagram shows there may be traitors among Sir Knight's forces, so he must be extra cautious. Going to war? In the suitcase? This sounds rather more than a tall tale. Huh. The war indicated in the hexagram isn't some mere skirmish. The branches of the potted plant stop the rhythm and begins to tremble. And though perhaps it was just old circuits, The fluorescent light in the hall begins to flicker faintly. The orange light in the vision pulses slowly, like twilight in my memory. Perhaps. The pair looks at each other. Miss Ah, do you know what era it is outside right now? Yeah, I'm not sure where Millie is. Part 3, A Berg of Quip. Indeed, he never misses an opportunity for a quip. Roland wrings out the water that is pooling in the hem of his clothes. Rain again. Where is everyone? The trail left by the attacker has disappeared. And his fellow knights have disappeared along with it. Hoofbeast tramps across the mud nearby. He holds his breath and listens. The figure of the knight appears in the distance, causing Roland to draw his sword defensively. Roland? Oliver! You nearly drove me out of my wits. Roland mounts his horse, and the pair rides side by side into the rain.
So,
Was it really Galen who suggested a festival of jokes? He doesn't seem the type to enjoy comedy. Then, no sooner than a comrade has called himself Roland, he was struck dead in an attack. It is as I said, there is a great power in a joke. They can inspire morale while marching on or on the eve of battle. I can remember many a times when a well-timed joke has done much to lift the spirits of a weary band. If I speak out of turn, my friend, I feel I must tell you something. Roland, bosom friend, I think perhaps your jokes serve only one purpose. To inspire a timely retreat. I regret only that my love for comedy is yet outstretched my talent. You should know, I suspect a traitor among our fellowship. If they plan to strike again, their next move will be the Parapont Forest. They will not make the same mistake twice. We must move with haste. Regardless, I'm heartened to see you as safe. May the Lord continue to protect you, Roland. He reaches out to pat his friend's shoulder. But in a flash, Roland draws his sword and swings in a fierce motion towards Oliver's ear.
shoot.
Darn it! The blade catches the arrow mid-flight, cutting it into twine. Ride to the forest. We'll talk about the rest later. Herculean, to the League's order, Oliver bends down, grasping the horse belly with his leg, and spurts in the gallop towards the forest. But a second arrow reaches him first, piercing the deserter's leg and splitting both horse and rider on the ground. Oliver falls hard on his leg and lays stunned on the ground. It's Oliver! The attacker grins and raises his sword in his hands. His head won't be as valuable as Roland's still. The lumbering figure shadows engulfs Oliver's body.
Please, be
Careful. Roland rides swiftly, holding his high, his everlasting sword. With a single stroke, he cleaves the shadow into two. A short, stiff cry gives way to a sudden wash of warm liquid that spills out over Oliver. Darn it! Why are you retreating? There are but two of them. There is sudden coldness in the attacker's throat. His vision begins to spin, a dizziness ascension, as he falls to the ground. From the ground, he sees only his headless corpse, slouching on the back of his horse. Quick, Oliver, take my hand! The salt from the blood is stinging his eyes. Oliver forces them to open. In the blurred vision, He catches sight of Roland's figure and reaches out his hand towards him.
Watch out!
They are expecting us to move forward, further into the ambush. Don't follow the path they're driving us towards. Go around. Roland grasps his comrade and holds them up to on his horse.
Someone hears and obeys.
Not to worry, young Oliver. I'm no fresh squire. The horse carries the two knights deep into the forest. The rain grows heavier, and its rhythmic tapping gradually swallows up all the other sounds. Ah, this little cave here will serve as an able refuge for the rain.
It's dangerous.
A cave? Perhaps you should check inside for wild beasts first? The pain still keeps him from seeing straight. No need to fret. We'll be safe in here. Come on. Let's see about your shoulder and leg. They stash themselves in the hollow cave, lying down on a bed of damp green moss. Roland draws his longsword and severs the shaft of the erect arrow, from still clinging harmoniously to his armor. Did you hear those hooves? Not far in the distance. Almost 20 men were chasing us, every one of them equipped with armor, swords, and a cordon of arrows.
Yes.
But we're still alive, Oliver. So, there's danger here, Roland. It's not just about our immediate crisis. Someone wants you to die here. An eerie silence falls over the forest, as if the rain has hushed itself. Oliver, look!
What?
There's the Archon. Oliver's neck go rigid. It is a venomous spider critter, one that prefers to nest in damp, dark places. He looks slowly in the direction of Roland's gaze. Roland has folded his hands together, shaking them like a spider, crawling through the air. Roland! Oliver cannot stand it anymore. He slams his fist down hard on the ground.
Enough!
How many times do we have to tell you? These jokes of ours are not funny. Our foes are number 20 at least. Luckily more than reinforcements. And there are only the two of us.
Why?
Tell me, how do you manage to conjure such horrid jokes in a situation like this? I thought you needed something to raise your mood. It only managed to raise my ire. Roland, my league. Allow me to suggest what we should do now. A plan is forming in his mind. One that seems to ease his pain. They know that you were to reach Brittany today,
But
they didn't know that I would ride here to receive you.
so
If the worst should come to pass, you may be able to escape by wearing my cloak. There is a second flash of genius on his face.
yes.
This could well be our best opportunity to post the traitor. Though the traitor's identity is not difficult for them to guess, he has known the answer for a while. Hey Fancy, hi sir, how's everything? How's your day? So we're just working on the night's Anecdote story. The Virtual Night. And then I think that's all for the event until the next thing opening up, which is a rerun. In what, 2 days? I'm not sure if there's any new banners coming yet soon or not, but I think that's it for a while until we get back to Reverse again. So this might be the last one until the next update, maybe, or next event. Because I already finished the reruns already. That I have to check it because I may. Because I might because I got lucky with Issel on the first 10 poll. Yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably pull for him, but I'm not positive. But I think what he's good would be is Marcus a supporter, right? I have to check, because if it's a healer, then maybe not. If he has a shield, I might, since I don't have to get more characters with shields. It is a sound plan, young Oliver, but I refuse it. If I should do as you say, then only one of us can leave. A plan that lets one of us escape is better than both of us dying here. Don't tell me you're going out there by yourself. A familiar trumpet sounds far in the distance. Enemies! Friends! They shout in a clashing unison. Did that arrow hit your ear after all?
Forgive someone for asking.
That was clear as day, the sound of Lady Oro's trumpet call. A trumpet is just an instrument. Anyone can blow it. Besides, what if Order has been captured? What if the attackers and Order simply have the same sort of trumpet? Forget it then. There's no use arguing about something you can hear with your own ears. Besides, if not Odir, who else would blow a trumpet like that? She's your sister, and still you cannot recognize her?
But
That may be her, yes, but it is not prudent to consider the other possibilities. Indeed, I dare not question His Majesty's degree, but seeing you, our Lord Margrave, reducing to hiding in the cave, I must admit my fear for the future of Brittany. The Margrave dawns on them.
Yes.
You had the right of it.
great.
Then we should do as I suggested. Knight Oliver, I order you to stay here. Once the danger is gone and you are able, to travel to Brittany and rely on what happens here. So that means he's going out to attack in case it's an ambush. Should events transpire that leads to my death, I will recommend that you succeed me as the Margrave of Brittany. Don't worry, I'll pen a letter to His Majesty, listing a few of the reasons for making Sir Oliver your trusted Margrave. I'll use all of the most colorful rhetorical at my disposal. I think you're confused our situation for a fairy tale, my Lord Margrave. Suppose you die out there, Roland, on whatever fool heroic you're planning, and I survive to present your letter of recognition to His Majesty's court. What do you what do you earnestly think they would do if I were to show up in your place? I'm very sure after reading through my glowing recommendation, they would grant you the title of Margrave of Brittany.
Maybe.
I see now why His Majesty so appreciates your honest nature, Sir Roland. But think seriously, surely they will start to wonder why I decided to ride out to meet you, and the why for and when of how you died, and how it came to be that there is no one else around to witness your death. If I were then to present a letter of your recommendation, how would it be received? You are suggesting they would think you forged a letter? Perhaps even that you orchestrated this ambush? You think too poorly of His Majesty's court. The paladins of Charlemagne are good and just. Roland, you just can't split people into simple categories of good and evil. People are completed, and men of power are more competent still. You should know that far better than I do. Besides, he falls silent again. The weight of the accusation bore on him. To accuse one of the brethren of treachery, he hesitates to continue. Roland pats his shoulder. Go on.
I think that.
The traitor must be one of the other paladins. One of your brothers in Charlemagne's court. Sharp stab of pain drops his shoulder. Oliver takes a deep breath before continuing. It is Galadin of Maine. Roland breathes into a grim. That's reassuring, Oliver. You finally learned how to make a joke. Oh, don't misunderstand. There's weight to your speculation. But it's a matter of proof. The trumpet sounds out once again, now much closer than before. Before long, a party of knights emerged from the surrounding forest, led by a woman.
Oh,
Oh, Sir Roland, how did you end up here? Don't worry, old friend. My men made short work of your would-be assassins. We haven't managed to seize them alive. The lion's shares at any rate. The both of you look worse than for wear. We must make for the castle quickly. But first, a question. What did the blanket say to the bed? Roland answers without missing a beat. I got you covered! Precisely. I got you covered. The rain washes down the narrow streets of the castle town. The smell of blood from the butcher shop, of ammonia from the tannery, and the reek of old sweat that has long lingered there since it swept out the arrival of the rain. But no pleasure scent of earth and stone greets her. The reek of fish clings on no wet weather, as bits of fish covered in scales float to the puddle over Olive's feet. We need someone's charisma to lead the interrogation. May I propose the Knight of Osherford? Should he fail to win them over with his charm, then we must rely on Sir Renaud to break them. But to have these two noblemen come to interrogate such a prisoner...
No.
There's no need to involve them, my lady. We have our own manner of guile to make this weird talk. For now, let's just take Roland to rest. I believe the journey has finally caught up to him. Roland, at last exhausted from his journey in battle, begins to slump in the shadow. The voice around him grows fainter, until all sounds blend into a patter of the rain. He closes his eyes. The darkness swallows everything like a ride. Oof! The two of them barge through the door and tumbles into the sunlit room.
Oh, hello.
Oh, you have some visitors.
whoa.
Oh, Sir Knight, you've been in your room this whole time? Huh, then all the fuss about the light were just old circuits? Miss Merton should hire an electrician. There's no need for concern. Someone is here, as they may have been for some time. The apple can attest to this. We prefer to use just the sunlight in the room, as if created a dramatic lighting effects on Mr. Knight. We're holding a bit of a storytelling session. Quite so. Someone was just in the middle of a story about Sir Roland. However, Sir Applehair seems to believe that one's storytelling skills are lacking. Someone has been attempting to portray the figure of a knight named Roland in order to immerse the audience in this moment. The knight's skull is spread and lowers on both sides, appropriating a theurgic bow.
Someone is profoundly honored.
Someone is pleased that you happened by. Decorations. Part 4, decorations. They're not useless. They're an important part of the festival atmosphere. Since you're here, please take a seat. Someone could use a more enthusiastic audience for this tale. Just as Miss Sutterby's room is filled with collector's edition Typhoon dolls, and Miss Eternity's TV play, The Night Show All Night, in this room there's various items that highlights their owner's tastes. Weapons in the scabbards and a yellow book of the desk, recognizable from the cover as a collection of very old jokes. In the corner stands a large pot of lard, and next to it, the fireplace is burning low. Sir Knight, you can't put fat next to the flame, it'll catch fire. Don't worry, Miss Anna. The flame is only a memory. It is a constant, gentle, and does not produce heat nor possess the desire to burn anything. The knight touches the flame with his hands, and then muzzles his fingers like a tame colt. Well, that proves little, Sir Knight. Of course you aren't afraid of being turned. You're only a suit of armor. On one side of the room, there is a pile of assorted trumpets. The desk is covered with colorful flags. Too many, perhaps. Rendering a messy scene. A nimble hand grasps a carving of a green bird, gently adjusting its orientation. What are all these ornaments for? Have you considered arranging them? The feng shui of this room has a lot to be desired. These are things someone has prepared in anticipation of the Comic Night Festival. The Comic Night Festival?
Yes.
An event inspired by old friends. Simply put, this is a joke-telling festival. Everyone sits around together, drawing lots to take turns telling their joke. If you can't come up with a joke, then you must tell an interesting story instead. As for this wooden carving, there's a mechanism one can find on the bottom. A knight stretches out a finger and lightly fiddles with the tail feather. Click-clack. The small begins to move, rocking backwards and forwards. After a moment, the yellow beak stops in front of Oliver Fogg. If this was the Comic Night Festival, the next speaker would be Oliver Fogg. It sounds as if it wouldn't be a half-baked bad event. But everyone here has so many of their own matters to attend to. Miss Verton almost never had time off because of the storm. I can't imagine most people will have the time to attend a comedy festival. Though certainly, this place would be used a little levelly.
Yes.
It is precisely because of the present state of things that someone felt inspired to recreate this old festival. It has not gone unnoticed to anyone, let alone someone, that the laughter and smile that once frequented this hall now all but disappeared. Someone has recounted to Mr. Apple one's recollection of the tales of ancient knights and the origin of the festival.
Interesting.
Someone hopes that these stories will be shared to everyone. To help everyone regain a sense of humor in the face of great danger. Or, if nothing less, provide some momentary distractions.
Whoa.
Wow, so not just jokes but storytelling too? Another event to add to the Comic Night Festival. Hey Roadstorm, how's everything? How was your day? I saw you doing retro gaming earlier. This apple certainly hopes it will inspire our friends to hear the tales of nightly heroics. I've been doing pretty well. It's been relaxing mostly. And definitely so. Someone recalls a story that has been recounted to Mr. Axe some short while ago. In that story, a slightly reckless knight, Sir Roland, along with his good friend Oliver, pays a visit to Bertomon, Queen of the Moor. The journey was fraught with difficulty, but fortunately came to a happy ending. Sunlight scatters against the floor as the breeze blows through the treetops.
Someone is reminded of some things in the past.
Oh nice, congrats! Such fine weather makes someone think of ancient times past, on a sunny day in the south of Provence. Back then, Someone often share a drink with old friends while whittling away this afternoon.
Thou have someone's admiration.
One of them was a heroic woman, one whom someone greatly admired. Among her greatest feat was when she fought a battle against a giant named Fergates. Though the records of history did not record much of her story, a travesty most deeply unfair. In fact, Sir Roland was involved in a battle as well. Someone recorded vividly a dramatic tale which Miss Charles herself suggested may make a fine piece of theater. If you would, someone would very much like to perform it with you. Part 5. Thorny is the way. My fair blade lies tied at my waist. So the art for this one's kind of neat. Lady Eleanor is a brave and wise woman. Someone thought it would be an ideal role for Miss Anna. Oh, I usually send it to private and then like see if there's any discrepancies between it, and then if it's good, I can edit that out and then upload it. But in terms of which games, though, I know some stuff like Pokemon or like some Nintendo stuff are like kind of hard to post up. So we got to add starting in 30 seconds since I already hit all the snooze buttons. The other characters of the play is a brave knight called Roland.
Yes.
At the time, Sir Roland was still just a youth, rather like his age to Sir Oliver now. Oliver Fogg checks his timepiece conspicuously.
All right.
If I must, may I remind you that this is my leisure time. I'm under no obligation to stay. So I caution you not to make this little play of yours too long. Naturally, this will be a short but glorious story of a great and noble woman. As for the giant Fergrin, he was 15 feet tall, mortally road brown, mangy, and bald. A knight looks around the room. Unfortunately, of those present here, only a knight can be said to be a comparable stature of the grotesque giant. It falls reluctant upon someone's shoulder to take on the role of the gruesome Fergates. And what of brave and true Sir Apple? The play has run short of speaking roles. But I recall Fergan often threw rocks as a mean of attack. Knowing that Sir Apple is well versed in special effects, someone swears not to toss you too roughly. In that case, this Apple will prefer to work behind the scenes. Perhaps you're in need of a lighting technician.
Someone will be eternally grateful.
Superb, sir. As Miss Charles has said, a skillful lighting technician can add tremendous value to a play. Now, someone will act as your humble narrator. At the beginning of the show, Lady Odor was not yet a knight. Yet she was born to a noble family of great esteem. Indeed, someone's own close friend, the knight, Sir Oliver, was born into their house. At this time, high-born ladies could choose to wear luxurious dress, willing their hours away in the market with their other ladies, living a dainty thing capable of fainting at the moment's notice. Or they could choose to familiar themselves with Latin so they can recite scripture. They will learn proper etiquette and ballroom dancing to the fit as a proper studied lady. But no matter their choice, their Lord Father, who held the true power of decision over them, worry over one thing. That is, how he might marry them off properly and eventually. Miss stand tall. You will not be so fragile as these delicate ladies, for Lady Odora is of an eternal different sorts. She was an unruly child, whose only grew in their rebellious and curious, who only grew in her rebellious and courage despite the sighing protestations of her mother. Is that so? Yeah. Bravo, a swift and powerful thrust. This is indeed more like Lady Odor. But her father has little patience for her rebellion ways. He resolves that he must arrange a marriage for her early, before her rebellious spirit sets in too deep. For to him, her value was as nothing more than what she could bring him as a bride. To him, a noble daughter was like a burnt wine, and ruby red as pigeon blood. Things that he sneered upon as frivolous fancies behind closed doors, yet nevertheless has to rely on to maintain the prestige of his noble house. Messengers wore out their shoes with their coming and going, until her father struck a deal with some far-fetched nobleman he has never met before. He never even met. So that after the coming of Our Lady Odor's 16th year, she would be wed to a liege lord well past his 50s. A ritual creep like that must have paid the king's ransom. Roland, you're not on yet. Does someone need to remind you of the importance of quiet on set? The story does not foreclose the exact terms of the arrangement, but it is said that during the time, Lady Odia's father began to exhibit behaviors quite different from usual. It may well be that to increase one's worldly possessions is to enhance one's self-esteem. For during those days, her lord father seems to have taken on an air of levity and laughter, smiling even on a sight that once has set him to rage. Until one morning, when the laughter faded. For Lady Odor has run away towards Brittany, leaving her father only a letter. One can hardly blame her, though I, for one, hope that she chops off the old man's head, give him the old Cromwell treatment.
Interesting.
Intriguing plot decisions, to be sure. In those days, the journey to Brittany was fraught with all manners of danger. For in addition to the rougher sorts one may find in Brittany, one could also chance upon a roving band of Saxons, Lombards, and Saracens at any time. Unfortunately, our heroine was an able rider, the equal of an experienced knight. And so it was that someone's first laid eyes upon Lady Odor just as she arrives at the gate of the castle of Brittany. She still wore the gown of a noble lady, though her skirt has been torn in the bushes of a rough country. Her many days' rough riding left her in utter exhaustion, so that she leaps from the saddle, she nearly stumbles on the ground. But her eyes shone as brightly as a tempered blade. Miss Anna, this is your cue. Oh, are you Sir Roland? I see nothing so special about you to be worthy of your fame. In her words, if not yet her deeds, she would soon transform from a young woman into a warrior. I must admit, she proved an unparalleled talent in battle. During those years of Brittany, she joined us in countless battles, winning one victory after another. Her achievements were remarkable. Her feats became the most dazzling gem on the scepter, impossible to any to ignore. There has been no precedent of a woman warrior such as her, but after much deliberation, the colonel agreed to grant her knighthood. However, the day before the ceremony, she blamed Sir Roland to free her from her service. Sir Roland, I beg you to forgive me, but I cannot attend the ceremony. Why? Is it not your greatest dream to become a knight? Getting those old-fashioned cardinals to agree to knight a woman was no easy feat. Do you remember my lord father, Roland? He has learned that I was in Brittany and has been writing to me, urging me to return so that I might fulfill my long-neglected duties. He has sent me another letter, a final warning, saying that if I continue in my rebellion, he will send his champion, the giant Fergus, to ask me to come home. You can see how he describes this terrible giant in his letter. 15 feet tall, covered in scabies and pustules. He keeps the company of witches and his impenetrable skin. So then, you do as he wishes and return home? A most stirring performance, Miss Anna, but we must see your smile. Let it be fierce and true. Superb, the exact motion on display.
Hee
Sir Roland, for as many years as we fought side by side, it's a pity you don't know me better. Mr. Apple, the time has come to be. Oh, thanks for the stretch. Alright, thanks for the stretch, Panzer. Mr. Apple, the time comes to begin the scene of a climactic battle against the giant. Please adjust the brightness of the stage light. A bit brighter still, if you please. For the skies that day was a scarlet and brilliant blue, dotted with white clouds floating above like a silken canopy. A day that someone returns too often in memory.
I see.
So conclusive the episode. Part 6, so conclusive the special. Chase away until the road ends is also left behind. Ha ha ha, evil giant, tremble in fear, for today you shall meet Sir Roland in the field. Now your devil's luck has run thin. Mr. Knight, are you entirely sure this is Sir Roland's line? Someone reminds you that Sir Roland then was still a spirited young man. It was time now to face the giant. The giant was just as the letter warned and more, for Thorgerd was a monstrous sight, and his bare skin was covered with mange and postal. Allow me! Sir Roland spurred his horse onward and charges Thorgerd's. Sir, Mr. Knight, how can I spur my horse? Do you see any horses about? A fair point indeed. Perhaps someone will seek the aid of Mr. Darling's chatter to play the role of Roland's steed. Yet in the meantime, you need to only pretend to be riding a horse. As you say your next line. The devil giant, today you face your doom. Sir Roland cries out at the pinnacle of his charge, as he raises the everlasting sword high and brought it down to the giant's ankle. The blade collided with the giant's ankle, sliding as if across a sheet of uneven metal, sending forth a shower of yellow sparks. The blow has left the giant entirely unharmed. It serves only to set the brute into a fitful anger. The giant reaches out his hand, snatching Roland from his horse, and held him high in the air. Frightened, his warhorse ran off into the distance, never to be seen again. Just as the battle looked to be lost, Lady Ordeer furrowed her brow, drew her long sword, and charges. She leaps from her horse high into the air and drew a long slash across Virgo's bully's belly. Accompanying her strikes came a self-shamed shower of yellow sparks. But this time, the giant let out a gurgling hiss of pain. The navel! The navel! Sir Roland shouts breathlessly. Ordeer hears him and turns to look at Virgo. There has been no trace of damage in her slash across Virgo's belly, save for a hint of blood around the approach of belly button.
Whoa!
Oh, I found the heel of Achilles. Lady Ordeer's heart filled with hope at the thought, as she raises the sword again. The giant rage was directed elsewhere. He grips on Roland and begins to tighten. Sir Roland gives out an agonizing scream. Ah! But Ordeal's sword proves the Swiffer's tool as she pierces the giant's navel in the nick of time. The Goliath shuddered and collapsed. But in death, the giant's finger remained tightly wrapped around the knight, and blood ran down his knuckles. Ordeal withdrew her sword from the belly of the giant. They have won the duel. Mr. Apple, the story is finished. You may lower the lights. The light fades. What do you think of the story? It ended too soon. Your Lady Ordeal defeated the giant. She should go back to the honor for her accomplishment and become a true knight. Really? You omitted the most crucial part. Perhaps some ivory tower snob might appreciate your bigotry, but the mass will demand a satisfactory end for your heroine. I agree. The story ends too soon. Lady Ordeal deserves more to her tale. She should return to the castle and generously rewarded with the land and riches. With enough wealth of her own, she might go back and build her own house, so that she could have a new future away from her father. I confess, sadly, that Lady Ordeal never was to be knighted, for even ever besting the giant, she chose to leave Brittany. She carries on, ever delicate to the life of freedom she has long sought. She traveled far and wide across the land in those days, and when she could, she would write to Sir Roland and Oliver, recounting her adventures. She won a castle in a duel, and ever unwilling to be tied to her land, she chose to distribute the treasure among the local peasants. A story of that persists in legend. Later still, she met Lady Burgret, with whom she shared many interests. They became lifelong friends and the closest of confidence. Of course, her letters were the source of much more inspiration and many of someone's greatest jokes. Someone can naturally know if Lady Ordeal was satisfied with its ending. Yet, it is enough to say the story is true. Although, it must be confessed, for ease of narration, some slight adjustments were made. Boo! A nice little audience were clearly unhappy with this ending. A knight seems to pause, as if taking a loss of words. Even if you disagree with the institution of landed nobility on principle, I see no reason why she couldn't be knighted before she goes off on her adventures. And if nothing else, why was she never given a reward for killing the giant? That's not fair. A Just Anew. Part 7, A Just Anew, an enduring joke from the 8th century. The old story has ended, and a new one is about to begin. The undying flames of the candle cast warm yellow halos on the face of the audience. It would be best to move on, allow someone to introduce the rules of the Comet Night Festival. First, there is the need of a large space, one big enough for all the participants to gather around. The hall in the suitcase may provide suitable. Perhaps someone ought to ask Fertus's permission, as she is the owner of the suitcase.
Whoa!
Alright, it sounds like it will be fun. Each participant needs to prepare some jokes, any kind will do. Then, this little green bird will decide the order of the show. Simply put, whoever the bird's beak points to will be the next to tell their joke. A knight points his gauntlet towards the little bird. Someone has not arranged such a gathering with so many friends in many centuries. It must go over well. Someone must make sure of that. Yet, fashion and fads change with the seasons. How can anyone keep up with the latest in comical wits? Someone has hoped to acquire new materials worthy of the upcoming festival. Sir, you're right, that fashion has changed. Maybe I can help. I think that these days people like to hear ghost stories. You should try telling a joke that involves ghosts. Something that might be both scary and funny. A knight does not reply. The armor sits motionless with a hand posing under an invisible chin. This apple once heard Miss Tiller tell a joke about apples. Nowadays, you are worthless in IT unless you have a bite. This apple still doesn't quite understand the joke, but Miss Tiller sure seems to enjoy it. Programming, ghost stories, it's all dull. The only thing that makes me smile these days is the upcoming vacation. Oliver foxtrots, staring distantly at the window before returning. Still, out of our deepest respect to you, I'll join in on your joke festival.
Someone is profoundly honored.
Someone cannot help but feel honored. Their discussions on stories and comedy soon begin to wind down, as the sky of the suitcase fades from sunset into darkness. Sir Knight, I have to go. I have a field deployment tomorrow morning. I must leave as well. Fare thee well, friends. Someone hopes that the coming festival will not disappoint. The young guests shuffle their way out of the room, more content. The light flickers and the room falls quiet for a time. Mr. Apple, you're the only one who heard both stories. If you were to compare them, which story do you like more?
Forgive someone for asking.
This apple prefers the story in which Sir Roland visits the Queen of Moor. Why do you think that, sir? It seems you have intended to create a light, humorous, and lively atmosphere for the story of Lady Odor. But whether you claim it to be untrue or not, it's all too quick and sappy resolution clearly tells another tale. What a pity. So, what was the truth of her ending? No! The everlasting sword has failed to pierce Fergal's body in time. Doing his best to control his trembling hands, he draws his sword out from the crumbling giant's belly, inch by inch. Then, summoning all his courage, he looks towards the giant's right hand. The brute's hands are balled into a tight fist, and crimson blood drips down its knuckles. There is no life stirring within the balled hand, but no sign of Lady Odia either. Odia? For a moment, he feels some hope rising from within once more. With what strength he has left, he searched for any sign of Odia in the field around him. The birds fly up at the edge of the field, carrying Odia's ribbon in his beak, soaring away in the vast blue sky. So what happened to her? The bird is green, with long tail feathers, but his belly has been painted in the hotly crimson, familiar crimson. My lord Margaret, we found a letter among Odia's effects. It was addressed to you. Sir Roland. If you are reading this, then I have reached the end of my journey. I must confess a secret, for Oliver confided me in that he has always enjoyed our jokes. Please don't be cross, Sir Oliver. I could not bear to go to my death without revealing a punchline. Roland, should you ever mention me to anyone, please make sure that this is a fitting ending to my story. One fit for me, believe me. I hear about it. I wish you good spirit, humor, happiness, always, a knight. Sir Apple, as an educated fellow, you must have read the Greek tragedies. The greatest of them, the most tragic, came from those who made no mistakes but suffered anyway. Someone has always had a soft spot for tragedy. Something about the darkness of true tragedy speaks to the young knight. Truly, it seems to me that young knight would prefer courtly romance and the tale of dashing knights errants. You may think so, but in that time, those legends were only to be written, and it was the old knights who appreciate them, perhaps because it allows them to reminiscence Or perhaps they enjoyed mocking the false ending the minstrels would invent. And they would compare over grumble the words written in those tales with those of their own. It seems that imaginary monarchs were so often generous than the real ones. No, it seems the younger knights and squires preferred tragedy. Perhaps it was a fashion or something that came up upon them because so many had never seen true battle. Perhaps for them, it plays to their today. It might be called teenage angst. Perhaps it was longing for a meaning, the younger man's foolish wish to die as a hero rather than an old man.
Yes.
Oh yes, longing. Their eyes said so as much. Without a doubt, many yearned for war. Minstrel plucks the lyre, their tongues as smooth as silk, painting war as a grand spectacle in their songs. In the stories, blood would weave into a scarlet ribbon. Knights only needed to don it. The gold and glory would rain down upon them. Sir Roland once believed that as well, until the Battle of Roman's Pass. The story of that battle is the last recorded tales of Roland in history. Sir Oliver has joined the ranks of the rearguard, standing along Sir Roland. He has advised against the stand that made that day. No, I will speak the truth. It was more than that. He was afraid. He has always been more adept as a strategist than a warrior. But the situation in the battle has grown dire. With thousands of enemies surrounding them, the life of their sovereign was hanging in the balance of their actions. So he had to take up arms and charge ahead. In the heavy melee, his face was wounded, and he lost his sight. Sir Roland saw that he was injured and fought his way through the basilica to get close to him, intending to offer assistance. But he mistook Sir Roland for an attacking enemy and struck him with his sword. What happened next? A knight turned into towards the window. Allow someone to continue the role of Sir Roland. Mr. Apple adjusts the lighting appropriately. The story returns again to that day at twilight, as the battle unfolds in the distance, land on a narrow pass. There is the valley. The warrior Magnus comes galloping on his warhorse, his lance ready. He charges the line of Sir Roland's men, riding with a speed that the point of his lance pierced straight and through shields and harpers, though out of the body of a young knight. Oliver! Sir Roland scrambles to Oliver's side. The young man's injuries are severe, his body growing colder and stiffer by the moment. Any knight knows perfectly well that there is no chance of survival from a wound such as this. There were to be no miracles for Sir Oliver. His body was like a shattered clay pot, the flowers water of life pouring out of him within. Sir Roland would remember his last words to this very day. He said, "Is it going to be a joke? What do you say when you find a deer without eyes?" It was a terrible joke, and yet someone laughed. Was that another one of your adaptations? No, this happened exactly as it was said. Someone was among that proud host of knights that day. Every word of it is written on someone's soul. My deepest condolence, then. Mr. Apple, you need to apologize. Sir Oliver's deed of valor has endured. For him, too, death is far from the end. Someone must state their earnest belief that there is far greater power in the company than most imagine. Someone surely believes that the suitcase would have use of more villain in the dark times. So, would you be willing to participate in the next Comic Night Festival? The festival date will be set on February 29. Someone will eagerly await your reply. What, so every 4 years? Humility, honesty, mercy, valor, justice, sacrifice, honor, soul, and of course, a bit of humor. So so what do you call a deer with no eyes? I have no idea. So So we just finished the night store, the anecdote log.